All right, guys, let's get started. For those who are joining our session, welcome. This is the session all about future of SAP quality. And today I've got some great guest panelists that are going to tell us about the future of quality. First of all, I'll give you a quick introduction on myself. My name is Kerry Butler. I am the General Manager of TTC Australia, and am joined by Rose Watt, who is a test manager who's got lots of experience, who's going to talk us through her experiences. I've got Thomas Hedorn, who is the Tricentis Managing Director for the region, and also Grant Borey, who's the founder of TTC, all of who have great experiences to share with us today. So with that, I hope the people who have joined have enjoyed the conference so far, gotten a chance to see the opening speakers. If not, all of this will be recorded from what I understand, so you can always go back and look at it later. But today, why don't we kick off with the questions, and I'll start with you, Thomas, since you look like you're ready and willing to take questions. My first question for you is, looking at the biggest things, one of the biggest things that we've heard in the market today is about the partnership with Tricentis and SAP. Tell us about that. What's that all about?
Yeah, thanks, Kerry. Let me start with a little story first that probably not is very well known. Tricentis was actually founded as a spin-off of Allianz Insurance, over 10 years ago out of Europe. And Allianz being one of the larger SAP customers worldwide, the very first test automation engine that we have built was actually for testing SAP. So you can call, that SAP testing is really in our DNA. But it took us 10 years to get to the point to become the de facto standard from an SAP perspective to test their application. I would like to share with you why that is first. So it's almost brand new. Only 4 weeks ago, SAP announced a strategic partnership between Tricentis and SAP at the Application Lifecycle Management Summit for the Asia-Pac region. And the reason why SAP did a change in strategy was predominantly because they have 3 different products that they promoted. An in-house solution called component-based test automation. Then there was the Micro Focus toolset and the IBM toolset. And customers got confused, A, and B, all of these tools were kind of missing the innovation that was happening in the market. And SAP then decided to change strategy, also because Tricentis have been the market leader and the most innovative company for many, many years in the testing space, and has been recognized as the leader by Gartner, Forrester, and IDC. And combined with the innovation around machine learning and artificial frameworks that we put in place to really develop the next generation of testing solutions. That was kind of the reason why. Now, what is the partnership all about? So firstly, SAP, you can, as a customer of SAP, you can actually get the Tricentis software through their price book. So you have direct access on your framework agreement with SAP to the Tricentis toolset, and you can leverage obviously the economy of scale that you have in place. But even more important, Tricentis placed R&D personnel in Walldorf at the main R&D location for co-developing future test automation solutions together. And last but not least, SAP has standardized of all testing with the Tricentis toolsets going forward. And with that, they're ensuring that everything that is shipped with SAP will also work from a test automation perspective.
That's great. That's really, really exciting is what it sounds like. But I guess from a customer perspective, what's the real benefit?
The real benefit, yes. So we answer three main questions. The first question is, should I test it in the first place, independent if you do it in a manual or in an automated way? How do you be smart about what you really need to test? Secondly, does it also work when you actually deploy your transport? And last but not least, does it scale, particularly from a cloud perspective? So these are the three aspects that we address. And we have a significant customer base across New Zealand and Australia in the SAP space. Some of the largest SAP users are actually using the Tricentis toolsets for many, many years. And what we have been able to prove with all of these customers that they have experienced a 10x improvement over a traditional approach of testing, increasing risk coverage by 90%, reducing test cost by up to 50%. And that's across the board. There are many case studies that we can share. There are three products around supporting that approach. One is called SAP Change Impact Analysis. That's the product of Business Process Change Analyzer that we take to the next level. SAP Enterprise Continuous Testing for test automation, and last but not least, SAP Load Testing for the cloud solutions.
Really cool. Great. So thanks for that. Why don't I bounce over to Rose, since you are a customer. So you're test manager for NZ. TA. So tell us a little bit about the projects you're working on, and then we'll go from there.
Sure. Okay, yes, I am Rose Wop, so I manage the quality engineering space for Waka Kotahi, which is NZTA. So our role at NZTA is basically to look after all transport needs. So we build the roads, all the devices that go into the roads, beside the roads, over the roads, all the cameras, all the information that's given to our drivers. Then we look after the drivers on the road, and we look after the vehicles that they drive to make sure everything's compliant. So it's a big, big, complex organization, many moving parts. So our main system that we use around the financials is SAP. And for me, I was approached, I can't even remember how long ago it was now, it feels like forever, but I was asked about an upgrade to SAP for testing. And quite frankly, it took my breath away. I nearly had a heart attack. I thought, we are never going to be able to do this because it's big. We use a lot of SAP modules. We had, at the time, no business process in place. So unfortunately, what happened was the engagement with the business kind of left technology out, which meant we didn't have robust processes in place. So for me, it was a nightmare and a lot of stress. So it was a high risk for us to do an upgrade and move our SAP from on-prem to Azure, and then we upgrade it. So hence, there was quite a few meetings with my team to try and get to the bottom of what we do. I talked to Shane at TDC. Luckily, we had already purchased Tosca at that point. And part of our reasoning for purchasing Tosca was because I had had a conversation with Thomas, and he had convinced me that Tosca was a great tool to use with this. Like, let it be so, because we need something that we can hit the ground running with. So, I mean, it wasn't all smooth sailing. The setup took a long time, but what was remarkable was the partnership between TDC, Tricentis, and ourselves. Once I let TDC know the urgency of what we were trying to do and what we were trying to achieve, and what I was trying to prove to the business, which is automation isn't witchcraft, we can trust it, that it actually will work and we can replicate what they do. So what we did there was we sat with the business, talked to Shane, and he allowed me some of his resources, which were fabulous resources. They knew SAP, they knew Tosca inside and out. And we went, and between us, we sat with the business users to build the trust, build the relationship, and then we were able to sit down and work through their business processes at a risk level. So there was an understanding of what was really important to them.
That's right.
So that's kind of how it came about. We're using Tricentis products in other parts of the organisation, but for the SAP position, it was vital that we were able to repeat our testing as well. So what I needed to prove to the team, the project team especially, and then the business, was that we could run a set of scripts in the development environment. We could then run a set of scripts in the quality environment, then run the same set of scripts in the pre-prod environment, and we were looking for exactly the same results as they were lifting and shifting and upgrading SAP.
Oh.
So it worked out. We're only halfway through that journey, but wow, it's been brilliant. It's not been straightforward, but the end result has been magic for the organisation. It really has. It's made a big difference in our space. That's
great. And especially coming from a customer to know how it all works. And like you said, it's not witchcraft. It actually can work when it's done well. So that's impressive. Why don't I bounce to Grant and just kind of, Grant, talk to us about, what you've seen in the market. What are the trends you've seen in, testing in general and especially in SAP testing?
Yeah, cool. And thanks everyone for joining. So probably the key trends that we've seen in the market over the last 10, 20 years is the elevation of testing onto the top table. Executive boards now are paying more and more attention to this activity called testing. And that's driven through a number of reasons. One is the board responsibility to quality to their customer. And the fact that testing is broadening itself to become an enabler, a recognized enabler for continuous delivery. So if I was to sum that up, testing, if I look at testing back in the 1990s, there's a lot of analogies with the poor cousin, whereas now software testing is seen as a key ingredient to the success of your IT delivery, and it's been recognized. So us practitioners in the industry, we've known that forever, but it's now being recognized more and more at that top table, and it's a key driver in that top table. And what that kind of leads on to a second point around one of the key trends in the software testing industry. For your executive teams to be able to make decisions as to when to go live, etc., they are basing their decisions on analytics. They're not basing their decisions on people's opinions about whether that product is ready. They're basing their decisions on real analytics and real data. And so the role of the software testing community is to be able to produce that evidence and that quantitative analysis as quickly and as accurately as possible, and then be able to present that information up to board level for them to make those decisions. And what that means is that software testers not only have to work faster, but they have to produce that information with that quantitative analysis wrapped around it. And so things like all your testing metrics and dashboards and DevOps dashboards, etc., become more and more important in the role of a software tester. So probably if I was to pick on two key trends, it's that role of analytics in shaping and driving out the test program.
Oh, that's great. And I think that we're all seeing that, and I think the future is only brighter for testers and testing, because I think it's, like you said, it's on the big table now. So the discussion.
Yeah, so we're absolutely. So we're becoming more and more visible to an organization. I remember a quote we had from one of our customers was, "Hey, I've got an issue with you guys." And I said, "Oh no, what have we done now?" And he says, "There's no noise around testing. What are you doing?"
Yeah.
And our team, would put in these processes, and we'd got automation up and running, and it was all humming. But because we'd eradicated a lot of the noise, but had failed to present that to the executive board through the analytics and the data and the metrics, they couldn't see what was going on.
Yeah.
So,
but it was a good endorsement that there wasn't any noise.
It was a backhanded endorsement.
Yes. So I actually think we're out of time, so I don't know exactly how this will go, but we'll continue until they tell us to stop, guys. Thomas, just real quickly, as far as some of the things that, if someone's wanting to take on an SAP testing and use Tricentis quickly, what are some of the things that they should look out for that you've noticed that people should avoid?
Yes, so I think it really starts to ask the question, should I test it in the first place? To be smart. There is no one has the time and budget to do everything. So let's think about first. And there are very, very intelligent and smart approaches how you can do it, such as change impact analysis, who has actually the capability to reduce efforts by up to 85%. In the scope that you really need to test, and that is how I would actually start the whole testing approach.
And that ties in with my analytics story using the Tricentis Impact Analyzer. The fact that we can identify very accurately the risk areas within our SAP program absolutely helps direct and form a strategy for our testing, and it really helps identify where we need to apply our automation. So
yeah, that's great. And Rose, how about you?
Yeah, I'd just like to jump in there and just say that, having the opportunity to analyze that data is absolute key. But I think the most important part of all of it is taking the business on the journey, because if you can't get the business behind you as a tester, and you can't be successful, because you must convince them that they can trust you and that you can put together what they need and you can alleviate any of their risks. So I think that's probably key, is, like you say, you can't test everything, that's impossible, but you can engage a business and ensure that you're covering off all their top priorities. That's probably the starting point for me. And then proving and running a bit of a POC with them to show them what you can do with automation and what you can do with, whatever tools are out there. For us, it was Tosca. Live Compare is going to be the next one, I'm hoping.
I totally endorse the role of business. And actually on my little notepad here, my third point was business ownership and testing.
Yeah.
We're running out of time.
Couldn't agree more. Yeah.
It's very important.
Right. I think we are out of time because I'm getting a pop-up. But let me see if there's any questions out here. There was a question, I think for you, Rose. Anna Baxter asked, how many automation tests have been developed thus far, I guess, in your project?
Oh, okay. Well, I couldn't answer that, Anna, sorry. That's something that one of my engineers could probably answer. But what I can tell you is we have only actually covered a very minimal piece of SAP, but we've done it at a sanity level to ensure the business that all the connectivity is in place and that they can be assured that their product will work. We will expand on that, and we will looking to run literally hundreds before we finish this. Before we've finished this project, but for now, I think we've run about 60. But so it's a good starting point for us. And the time savings has been 2 weeks of multiple users testing, and we are now running that over a couple of hours. So it's just been magic. Yeah. So I'm a believer.
I can believe it. That's good.
I can confirm, using the Tricentis platform, we've been able to automate a whole range of SAP test programs, and that scale goes from over 10,000 test cases down to things like 25. So it's a very scalable platform.
That's great. And I see that Dimple has joined us, so that must mean our time is up. Go for it, Dimple.
That's the reaction I got when I entered my. It was indeed very interesting, and as you said, Rose, it's very important to take the business on the journey, and I'm glad we are all in this together and we're going through it. So thank you. It was a really important discussion. But if the attendees have any question, you guys are around, so please feel free to ask any questions that you have. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rose. Thanks, Gary.
Thanks.
Thomas.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dimple.
Gary, thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah.